Yeah, I put it that way on purpose.
Right, do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as submitted to the public.
Second?
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, motion's approved, there we go. Agenda is approved. The public comment on non-agenda items. The public is invited to present petitions, make announcements, or provide other information to the commission that is relevant to the scope of authority of the city of Blue Lake. That is not on the agenda. The commission may provide up to 15 minutes for this public input session. To ensure that each individual presentation is heard, the commission may uniformly impose time limitations of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. The public will be given the opportunity to address items that are on the agenda at the time the commission takes up each specific agenda item. Do we have any general public comments? All right. On to item 5, approve the minutes from March 2nd, 2026. Please review the minutes.
I have a change.
Okay.
So the last meeting where it says commissioner is absent, Angela was an additional commissioner at that time, so she was absent.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's add Angela.
If that was the only change, you guys could, approve the minutes with that change, and that way we don't have to bring it back to the next
Yeah.
meeting. But if there's more changes, then I would
Are
suggest
there-
bringing it back, but.
Are there any other errors or changes?
I have none. I have none since I typed them
None?
out.
All right, do you have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes with one change.
Yes.
Yes, with
And
one
I'll
change.
second it.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
That was an aye, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, minutes are approved. All right, number 6, agency check-in, Blue Lake Fire.
So I go to the podium and
Sure, yes, sir.
We don't have to this meeting, usually we have to come to the podium because it's recording, so we're not recording on it.
That's kind of nice, yeah. Makes it official.
Alright, if you guys don't know who I am, my name is David Duke, I'm the fire chief for the Blue Lake Fire Department itself. I usually come to these meetings, but I put somebody else to take care of these things just because I have other meetings to attend to during the days. So just trying to lighten up the load. But other than that, the fire department is doing good. We're just looking for volunteers. Last month, we had 27 calls. In that month itself, it's just been busy for just medical calls. We had a couple fires that were outside of district-wise, but you know, we were able to respond to those out of areas that we respond to. If you guys don't know, the Blue Lake Fire District is only covers 14 square miles, so it's basically up to the scales, and anything past that is called a goodwill. So basically, we go from there up to Berry Summit to where Woody Creek will cover the rest. So just know that, you know, we cover a long stretch, and we go over towards Maple Creek that leads up to Neyland Fire Department in their area too. So, if you have any questions for me?
No, I don't think so. Well, actually, I do have one question. So we're gonna be considering our work plan tonight, and is there anything the Public Safety Commission can do with or does to support the fire department or in that area? Just let us know.
I'll make sure I'll pass it on to the crew, and then we'll see whatever we can do and help. And if you know anybody out there that wants to help out the fire department and they live local, you know, it's helpful just because response-wise it's easier. We do have a residence program that we're running right now, but a lot of the people that we have are out of district itself. So they come and they spend a 24-hour or 48-hour with us during that time. And you know, the majority of the crew that we have right now are young and they're in college too. So you know, they'll be there with us for a couple of years, and then after that, they'll go to another fire agency, which still represent Blue Lake, but, you know, they do well because we train them hard to represent this community itself.
Thank you, Chief.
I guess I would ask one question. How are you getting it out to the community that you do need more volunteers?
Just the social media that they have on Facebook and Instagram. And then whenever they have any kind of community stuff here, we usually post up some people's out there with flyers and stuff like that. And then the word of mouth. The program started with two peoples from Cal Poly itself, and then from there it passed along to where everybody else started seeing them wearing the uniform or the Blue Lake Fire t-shirts and stuff like that. And then just from them doing that, it's just networking. So, you know, I get people coming from the cars that pops up, and that's where they hear a lot of their stuff from their friends and stuff. Any other questions?
What is your resident program?
The residence program is, so in order to join our fire department, if you don't live in our district, we require you to take 24 hours of a shift. So in 1 month, you can do 2 24 hours, or you can cut it up into 12. So if you want to do 12, if it works best for your schedule, because a lot of times people have to work too and pay their bills. So we try to make it to where we work them here for either, they can do 12 hours, and they're just there at the station. They're doing cleaning, they do everything that any paid firehouse does from the morning all the way until their shift is done. So if they come in at 8 p.m., they're gonna go all the way to the next day if it's a 24-hour shift.
So you have kind of a dormitory type situation?
Yeah, we have, in our station right now, we have 7 beds right now. So we have 2 residents that are actual the people that run the program, and they get the people's on chart on what they're supposed to do in the mornings, do their checkouts on the piece of equipment and stuff like that, and then getting to know the area itself. You know, even the people that live in Blue Lake, some places they don't know that really exists. So that blows my mind when I hear that. But you know, it's just because this is what they see. You know, it's just the central part of the itself. But you know, if you go out more than that, there's more than that. You know, so side roads and stuff like that, people never even see. So you know, we just got to educate them and teach them where it's at, and teaching them where hydrants and stuff like that, and just you know, get familiarized with the community and just getting out there. So yeah, that's what we're just trying to push out.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for coming.
All right, next up, Sheriff's Department.
Andy, thank you, Andy, his information, but I can tell him.
Hello everyone, I'm Sergeant Eckert from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. I work the McKinleyville Station Monday through Wednesday, every Thursday on night shift. Normally I'd be a little more prepared. I didn't know that you guys were going to be looking into call for service, but I can answer any questions you guys have from the printouts that you got from Margaret. Currently, we have 4 deputies assigned to the McKinleyville Station. That covers Blue Lake, McKinleyville, Hoopaw, Wichita, Orleans, and part of Arcata. Myself and the other deputies are usually out here at least 5 or 6 times a night doing patrol checks. The casino obviously brings a lot of people in and out of the area, so we're between the casino and Hatchery Road at least 4 or 5 times a night. Any questions I can help answer for you guys?
I want to ask some questions, and we always ask these questions.
Okay.
Because we're looking at the reports that we get, which are great, and there is a whole column on type. And it says things like 911 MPC, EEHI, and then over on the end is disposition, and there's a lot of ad documentation only for certain terms that we don't understand, or I don't understand.
Sure, well, I can start with CAD documentation. So our reporting system is run through a company called, or the system's called CAD, yeah, RIMS. The printouts you're getting are from that system. What they're referring to when they say CAD documentation only is that anytime that someone calls the police for any reason that whether it's law enforcement related or not, they are assigned a CAD number or an incident number, okay? And if the incident doesn't arise to a criminal level or the need for a report, that what is referred to it's referred to as a CAD documentation, where we, in the call, complete the call for service. So we'll type in their notes, we'll put in, the reason the person called, what resolution there was, anything for follow-up later. Sometimes it can be something as simple as someone calling saying, hey, we saw a lot of foot traffic at this, particular residence. And we would CAD doc that and then forward that to the appropriate agency. So it could be drug task force or a POP unit, or, depending on when this is happening, we forward it to the appropriate sergeant for additional patrol checks during that time. So CAD documentation is, we've documented that you called, we've documented that we've spoken to you, and we've documented the result of that call for service. But it did not arise to a criminal complaint or a full report.
So, like, there's one that says no report, and then a CAD documentation only. Those are two separate incidents, obviously.
So those kind of overlap. If no report and CAD doc are technically speaking the same thing. For whatever reason, RIMS allows you to have both. I don't know why. And it's kind of up to the officer how they want to dispo the call. There's no set you shall dispo it this way when it comes to calls that don't generate a report. Although that is being worked on.
They're the same.
Yes.
And then what about all of what is PC?
Patrol checks. So you'll see a lot of calls for service that just say PC. Those are deputies out trying to be proactive. They're patrol checking the areas where we've had problems in the past. You'll see we're at the park a lot. We're over at the bar, hatchery, West End Road, the casino, and the school. Mostly.
Is there any kind of a document or something that we could get? Because there's a lot of there's TRF, there's WELF, I don't know.
So TRF is traffic, so those are traffic stops that we're making. I can probably get you guys a document that would let you know what all those meant. That'd be more helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. I can definitely take care of that.
Yeah, get us one and then we'll make copies.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I have a question, I have a couple other questions.
Go ahead.
So I'm looking at these are beautiful, the full color reports. And there's one that is, there's incidents, which are little blank dots. There's a plot map. What is the plot map? It has like little, balloons, going in a balloon ride.
Look, if I take a look at that, because my mind's just gonna depend on what they're plotting here.
Yeah.
I would suspect these are the calls for service. Let me check this here. Yeah, these would be the calls for service that were either created by us or by the public. So what you're seeing there mostly are gonna be the patrol checks, traffic, and calls for service. I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, it's not labeled, so I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure, but yeah, so this one, this is almost exactly yeah. So this map and this map are the same. Your incidents are coded here, and then this will let you know what they're doing in each location.
And the heat map.
The heat map, I believe, is just calls for service that we don't generate. So these are the ones where people have called us, I believe. Again, it depends on what Margaret's putting in to the system is what she wants heat mapped. So for instance, we can do heat maps for specific call types. So if, for example, like once a month, I'll sit down and do heat maps for stolen vehicle reports, theft reports, and vandalism reports. And that will generate me a heat map of where the most of those reports are coming in to see if we have any hot spots that we need to be showing some extra love to. So I don't know what she put in there specifically for the heat map, so I wouldn't be able to tell you what the hot spots are for specifically, but generally speaking, that's what it's for.
Citizen initiated calls.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I use it for.
Okay, I have one more question. So, what's your opinion of law enforcement? What do you see are our major problems, and what are your major problems working with us?
Well, Blue Lake's not a, super big place, so most of the calls for service we get are your fairly typical, calls for service. So we have, issues between couples. A lot of the stuff is not something that would necessarily be preventable crime. As far as preventable crime goes, most of what we're dealing with is fairly low level stuff, some vandalisms every once in a while, a couple of thefts, things getting left at the park, runaway juveniles, things like that. The casino generates some different clientele because there's a lot of movement in and out of there, so a lot of the traffic stops we do there generate additional criminal reports that don't necessarily tie to the community. It's just they're passing through, going to and from the casino. And most of that is, low-level drug possession, occasionally some weapons calls, but and a lot of warrants, things like that. But again, that's in passing. It's not necessarily a reflection of the community or the casino. It also being kind of the last gas station before you get over the hill. So Willow Creek makes it a big influx. So you'll see us out around that roundabout and other areas where we're generating a lot of calls for service proactively, but that's not a reflection of your community. The only thing that we consistently see is the park, just because kids will take off from home and they go to the park to hide or drink or stuff like that. That's usually after hours, and we've been kind of combating that by doing pretty regular patrol checks. Anytime we see the kids out there drinking, we pour out all their alcohol, we send them home, or if they're runaways, obviously we take them home. But that's been most of the issues we've been seeing. If there's other stuff going on, we're happy to address it if you guys are seeing other problems.
And how do you work with the Nigeria?
So on my shift, Officer Mayer is the officer on duty, and then his boss, obviously the chief of police there. But they work on the same radio as us. They have the same RIM system as us, so we communicate fairly frequently. They are really, really good about calling us for warrant suspects that have come onto the property, anyone that causes issues on the property, if there's drunk or fights or whatever, they call us right away. They also make their own arrests. I'm pretty confident Officer Mayer's made at least 15 warrant arrests this month, just from people coming in and out of the casino, so they're on it. And they, obviously, Officer Mayer's cross-deputized, so he went through our training program as well, and he's been doing great. Yeah, no problem. And next time I'll get some more info for you guys on the maps and stuff like that, so I'll have a better idea of what Margaret's creating for you guys.
Translation for the terms.
Exactly.
Do we have any other questions?
I have a question. I'm wondering how we might work with your department to target some areas that have been brought to our attention for speeding, or folks that are going through stop signs and things like that. Are those something that you guys can spend give a little attention to stuff like that?
Yeah, so stop signs is an easy one for us. We can do stop signs all day. The sheriff's office is currently working towards getting a Office of Traffic Safety grant, which would allow us to send our deputies to specialized training for radar and LiDAR, which we currently do not have. So most of the speed enforcement's done by CHP in this area. They obviously are spread pretty thin. I believe there's 2 to 4 officers for the county at night, depending on staffing. So they have 2 in Garberville and 2 in Arcata, and I think a sergeant in each location, so maybe 6-ish. That being said, their speed enforcement, is this during the daytime or is it night?
Oh, a little bit of both, but probably more daytime than nighttime.
If you give me locations where you're running into people running stop signs, something like that, we can definitely start enforcing that. Stop signs are easier for us because we can just park out of sight and then just wait for it to happen in front of us and make the stop and issue warnings and citations as appropriate.
Okay.
If you're looking at speeding, and this is kind of a bigger picture thing, any speed enforcement done by law enforcement can only be done in areas, for radar and LiDAR anyways, where there's a traffic survey in place. That means is that the city would have to do a traffic survey on the streets they want to modify the speed limit from. So the state of California says these type of roads get these speed limits unless changed by a city. the speed enforcement can be done in residential areas that have an automatic speed limit of 25, school zones, and care facilities. Those three you can run speed at any time, day or night, not an issue. Any road that falls outside of that would need a speed survey done by the city and on file every 4 years with a max cap of 7 years. And then once those are on file, we can run radar and LiDAR on those once we get them.
Okay.
Quick question, because you brought up the stop signs and people running stop signs.
Mhm.
So in the corner that I live on, it's constantly.
Okay.
So, and I've gone through my videos and marked all of them because I have cameras out there. Is that helpful for you, or is it better for you just to do it yourself?
So, the state of California does not allow us to issue traffic citations that don't happen in front of us, essentially. There are some exceptions to that with traffic cams, but those were recently deemed unconstitutional, and they're kind of fighting that out right now, so we'll see how that goes. But generally speaking, it is much better for not only overall results, but then also prosecution if the officer observes the violation themselves. It would be, yeah, it would create some issues if we were to start just cutting tickets based off someone's surveillance footage. I don't think that would go very well for us. That being said, if you provide me the intersections where you guys are having problems, I can start setting my guys up to do that. We're happy to do speed enforcement and
Broad and A.
broad and A. Hold on. I'm looking for a reason. Here we
You
go.
have an assignment.
You won't find me, I don't go on that street.
I will just tell you that my experience working traffic in Eureka was that people would ask for traffic enforcement in a certain zone, and then we usually pull over those people in that zone later. All right, so broad and A. Any other intersections we can be focusing on for you guys?
Hatchery and Railroad.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, if you guys are running into inlet in traffic, or if you guys end up in a problem house or something like that, flop house, things like that, please let us know. We have specialized programs to deal with that kind of long-term investigative need. The sheriff's office started a POP program recently that has 2 deputies and eventually a sergeant to deal with those kind of things. So if you guys have long-term issues, let us know.
A what program?
It's a problem-oriented policing unit. It started, Eureka started it got back on 2020. They've been kind of off and on with it, but recently, I think this last year, the sheriff's office is piloting this program. What it is, it's 2 deputies that are dedicated to longer-term investigations into problem houses. So you've got like drug houses, flop houses, whichever one you kind of want to call it. Some of the issues are a combination of that with code enforcement issues, so they work very closely with code enforcement to try and address some of those issues. They also do high-risk warrant service and firearms investigations, things like that. So kind of like think of like a patrol deputy with some extra time on their hands and more resources to dedicate to problems that aren't just going to get fixed with a single arrest or a single contact.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, got a bug chasing me. I gotta fly over here and
All right, any other questions? Well, thank you.
No problem. I'll leave you my card. It's an old one, but it has all my information on it. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, please let me know. You can email me anytime, day or night. If I don't get back to you right away, I will get back to you on Monday when I get back.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna get out of here, guys. If you have
Yeah.
any questions, just shoot me a line, okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good night.
get a copy of that off of my phone.
Yeah, just take a picture. Yeah, just take a picture. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Naylor.
All right, Blue Lake Rancheria.
Hello, my name is Brittany Lewis. Lewis. I am the newly promoted director of the Office of Emergency Services over at the BLR, and I just wanted to come here tonight to introduce myself to all of you. I unfortunately don't have any cards just yet, but I did bring our newest, updated, latest and greatest training bulletin. I know we haven't had these out in a while, but there is contact information on there. And at the BLR right now, we're making a little bit of a pivot, trying to restart some of our programs that have been defunct for a little while. First and foremost, and most importantly, is our fire department. It's going to be a wildland capability. Now, we're still in the initial phases of that, but they are making very, very positive strides towards deployment. And as well as we're restarting our CERT team. And it's going to be a huge focus of us throughout the rest of this year and going into next year. We are going to hire a staff member that is dedicated to CERT and CERT only. They will be trained up to the program manager level, hopefully. That's my goal. And we'll be able to take care of all of those capabilities for us. We are moving in a more employment development pathway. So that's CPR training, law enforcement specific training, more harder to get items like that. So if there's something that you or your agency might need, please feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call, and I would love to coordinate that with you. We are also preparing to open our new training facility. I just went on a tour of it this evening. It was one of the first, today was the first time I was actually able to get inside. Name pending. I did take Linda Nellis with me to see it as well, and to hopefully have a dedicated home for the RTIC once and for all, our training venue. So look forward to news on that. Other than that, Mr. Bogar, our previous emergency manager, has accepted employment with a municipality just outside of Portland, Oregon, and transitioned there a few weeks ago. So we're all switching hats and moving around. So please give us a little bit of grace and patience if you're waiting on any correspondence. But I do look forward to getting back to all of you. I left copies of the bulletin there for everyone, and is there any questions for myself or the BLR?
Just want to say congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Nice
it's been
meeting
very
you.
busy.
Yes.
And I
Welcome.
hope to be a more present member of this gathering.
Thank you.
Great,
Yes.
fantastic.
I think I mentioned when we were talking about our work plan, maybe we can talk about collaboration.
I would absolutely love that.
Communication and all the C words.
Yes, all the Cs, I would love that. Yes, especially CERT. That is going to be a huge focus for us.
Yeah.
In fact, we just recently completed, how many did we do? We did 4 or 5 of them in about 6 weeks, basics. So that was quite a huge undertaking just to meet some goals of grants that we're closing out at the end of March. And I'm happy to say that we were successful in reaching all of those goals. I'm a little tired, but yes, it was awesome. I worked with Amos Pohl, the Yurok tribe, to deliver all of those. BLR and Yurok tribe are going to be working a lot more closely together here moving out, and a lot more opportunity for partnership. We were also recently awarded a very large grant from the California Volunteers, and with the focus of creating a youth resiliency corps that has an all hazards response capability. So think flood fight, fuels reductions, things like that. We're still in the process of developing that curriculum. The awards haven't actually been handed out yet, but we were given the notification that we were awarded. So there will be a very large press briefing when that comes to fruition. But I'm excited. This year and next year are going to be very busy, but very good.
Awesome.
With my cert hat on.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear that our neighbor cert is.
We're coming back. We're hoping to go to the conference this year as well, which I've never attended. I have just taught, like I said, my 5th or 6th medical ops and basics, so looking to actually get certified further up the chain there for myself and for everyone that wants it, in the community. And we're also in talks now with Sue Vaugh, the cert coordinator, to bring in those higher level trainings to BLR this year. We're even in talks about Cert Master and seeing what it would take to make that work, to be the master trainer. So stay tuned.
Okay. Thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
Joe,
Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah, I'm Joseph Enum. I'm the wildland fire engine captain of the Juliet Rancheria, and I worked here for a few years before we had some financial difficulties, and they did away with the program, but they're bringing it back, and they hired me back. We used to have our own fire chief, but currently we're in a cooperative agreement with the Yurok tribe. and they have a larger, wildland fire program, and so, in the absence of the chief, I report to them for, some of my fire leadership. But I'm happy to be back here, and, the nature of our, job is a lot of times during the fire season, we're not necessarily gonna be here to help the community, because, you know, we travel, all over the country, but, sometimes we're here, and, I hope to do some more, coordination and, with like local fire department to help bring cause we have a pretty good skill set, you know, with large incidents. So that's my goal, so, like I said, but right now, we just have one fire engine crew that we're trying to get ready for the fire season, and, Brittany just invited me to come along, to the meeting, so if you have any questions with that, we're not a structural fire department, we don't respond to, at this time, you know, we could, go a different direction, cause, she's trying to coordinate a lot of trainings, with the all hazard, all risk stuff, and a lot of our personnel are interested in, you know, learning more about, you know, medical aids and things like that, so I think we are a local resource though that could be reached out to help and coordinate with anything.
So the Grand City doesn't have a structural fire department in the wildlands?
No, I know.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, wait. Goals, dreams.
All right.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, thanks,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
And now, Red Cross. Red Cross.
I think they're the only ones who couldn't make it. Janine said they were in the middle of switching offices.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're the only ones who didn't make it tonight.
It's a pretty good showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent multiple emails. I was like, please come.
yeah,
And they did, so
Yeah.
I'm stoked about that. Last time was a little too short notice, but
right,
this time we got them.
right. And just for your information, your general information, the concept of the agency check-ins is pretty much as an as-needed basis. It's not necessarily mandatory, you know, we're not a big town, we don't have a lot that's going on. We're just an advisory commission, but, it's good for us to get as needed, if you have information that might be useful for us to pass on to the community, and, you know, classes and or resources that we can add in, you know, into the mix information, that's what the purpose of it is for. And we really thank you guys for coming.
Absolutely. We hope to have a lot more visibility amongst the groups.
Yes.
I'd be interested in some classes too.
All right.
Unrelated question, so for bathroom breaks, do we need to pause, or how do we do that?
Yeah, just say, take it.
Yeah, we can take a break if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's have a 5-minute break.
Yeah. 5-minute break real quick.
I'm at the clock,
That
guys.
question was for me.
Just gonna take off as well. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us.
No, yes. Yes.
You guys.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
I'll keep you in the loop with the meeting.
Thank you, yeah.
And if there's ever something, like you can't make it, but you have something to give, I can always forward that to them.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds great.
Could you write it for me so that we make sure we get it right on the minutes? I just wanna make sure we spell your name right in the minutes.
Oh geez, mine's got some extra letters in there too, but I think Sam
I
has
would
it.
say, if you hear a name you're not sure what the spelling is,
Right.
be sure to ask them,
No, I've,
so that we
Oh,
can,
yeah.
you know, like a
I
court
already
reporter.
yep.
Thank you so much. I feel like I'm the only audience now.
Now, there was that other,
Come sit closer.
that other fellow, did she replace
I
you?
need front seat.
Andrew? Yeah,
But
okay.
there's extra chairs for company.
Right.
Don't feel like you're out in the world all by yourself. Oh, yeah, I had company.
Right, well, that's how you get the funding for that stuff.
Enid?
E-N-E-I-N.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, are we ready to resume?
Yes.
Okay, so, review of the monthly sheriff's incident report.
Oh, yeah.
Which it just seems, we just kinda
We
had
just
that
kinda did.
Yeah,
with the
right.
sheriff's
Sheriff.
department.
Yeah.
And that's fine for it to be an item, because sometimes we just don't have the sheriff's not here.
Yeah,
And so,
okay.
and usually unless something's really standing out, it's pretty much just like, okay, yeah, we have it.
Yeah, received it, yeah.
And we thought since sometimes you just get the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't use the
So item 8, commissioner vacancy, resignation from Joshua, which was turned in, we have that, it's in the packet. Has there been any movement on the announcement of the vacancy?
I did post an updated Matty Act with the vacancy.
It's been posted for the required almost 30 days, so by the time we have a council meeting where we could potentially appoint, it will have been, well over
You'll
30
meet the
days.
deadline.
So, yeah, so if we, any applicants we have, from here, from about the end of the week going forward, would be eligible for appointment at our next meeting, which is the 4th Tuesday of this month.
We wouldn't just go and pick the person that tried out for it last time?
Not necessarily, no, because anytime there's a vacancy and then there's a post of the vacancy for 30 days or more, anybody can apply. So it's it's reopening
I get you.
the whole process.
In general, how do you publicize vacancies?
It's on the website, and it's also printed and put on the bulletin boards. So typically, Sam's gonna put it in the locked bulletin board at the post office,
Oh, right.
and then there's also a locked. Are you using the locked bulletin board
At
in
City
front of
Hall?
City Hall? Mhm. And then the Grange, typically.
Oh, the bridge too.
Yeah.
Sometimes that board though is quite crowded, so.
Yeah.
But I've been successful every time.
Yeah, it seems the word gets out.
Yeah.
People apply, so
Yeah.
it appears to be working.
So you think, so by our next meeting then? we
There
can-
should be somebody. Mhm.
Great. You gonna apply?
Yes.
Yes, I was told to apply, so again,
That's right, apply.
yes, sir.
Okay, item number 9, I Street traffic control. So, I forwarded, the information that we discussed back in January or February, the last one when we had the results of the traffic survey. I forwarded that to the city manager, for inclusion in the April, council meeting packet. And I owe her essentially a synopsis of what we did during that meeting and the decision that we made, the recommendations that we had made based on that, and so, and I will be there in the April meeting to present that, formally present that information to the council and see if they wanted to make a decision on that, and or just turn it loose to the council and they can do with it what they will. And so, yeah, that's
It's in their hands.
It's in their hands. Yeah, okay, so, any other questions on that?
I do have questions. So, we have this A Street on here too? No, it's not. We tabled A Street. So we had started talking in general about, the fact that we've had 2 different, requests by neighborhoods for some kind of action on traffic safety issues in the neighborhoods. And that maybe we should talk about doing a process, or what is the process, I guess?
Well, yes, and that was gonna come up on the,
Future agenda
in
items.
the number 10, because we're talking
Oh.
about, work, established goals in the work plan.
Okay.
Because in the work plan, we actually have that first item there, educating systems on to bring traffic safety concerns to the city's attention.
Wait till then to talk about it.
So let's go ahead and move on to number 10, and we will go ahead. Last commission meeting, Lynn, was, volunteered to, develop a work plan for the year, because that is something that had happened before, And it will be, not only just a, and I think, something that might possibly be easy to have it be a 12-month rolling work plan. So that, you know, not necessarily a 26 plan or a 27 plan, but would encompass us looking out a year at a time.
So you mean starting now for 12 months, or?
Yeah, we would just have it be, because, you know, by the time we get to a certain point, we're gonna wanna have that visibility in a half a year or another quarter, rather than just being, okay, only 26. We're only gonna talk about 26 until December.
Oh, I see.
So my idea is essentially, like a lot of organizations, like like military organizations I work for, you had your monthly stuff that you did, but you also had a 90-day plan, you had a 60-day plan, or a 90-day plan, a 180-day plan, a year plan, and then on bigger picture, maybe a 3-year plan. And that was usually some huge, you're dealing with tens of thousands of people that you're dealing with. So I think it would probably, I think the work plan is excellent. And I think it would even be more useful if we actually made it into like a rolling 1-year plan, where we're looking at, we're done with April. And so, and it doesn't mean we have to schedule anything for the following April. We just note what maybe just a little note as a reminder of, okay, April 2027, we did this, do we want to do this or not? Or is there anything that far out that we want to look at? And if there's nothing, then there's nothing.
So how would I'm used to like the annual plan, because then there's a time, everybody says, okay, January's coming up, if we do our plan, let's look at the last one.
Mm-hmm.
We want, because we have things that are kind of date focused.
Right, I agree.
So how would, I'm not sure what the document would look like, and the reminder process would look like, that we would, would we be reassessing always, constantly, or how would we be doing that?
Yeah, I think that would be kind of how you would do it. You would reassess it. And it wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't even necessarily be discussing what's happening a year out. But you're just kind of looking at the calendar. And your work plan kind of does that already. We've already established a bunch of items that are happening in the future that have happened before.
Their date.
Pretty much, yeah. Yes, we know, okay, in 6 months, we're gonna have the safety fair, or, we discuss, as an example.
Right.
Parks and Rec does that too for their events and stuff, right? They know each year. I mean, I remember sitting in on meetings and they would say, oh, this happened last year, so let's do that again this year, or.
Yeah, I think that's the advantage of doing some kind of a plan, so that you're not just kind of like going once a month and.
Well, that's
pop up on you and,
well, exactly, and the yearly plan, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to review everything every month, but we could set a date, say like, we want to have the 2027 plan, so they say maybe September is when we look at, okay, now we need to really focus on what's going to come up after Christmas, in the new year.
Right.
And add those dates in.
Okay, so what would the document look like then?
It would be similar, similar to this. And you could just use a simple calendar with all the months. Yeah, you'd just be rolling to the next month. We can talk about it. I can show you.
Sounds like a lot of work to me. I'm in favor of like, let's just do it, and do our stuff, and then at the end of the year say, hey, did we do it? Did we not do it? And let's do it differently next year. I mean, that's kind of what I'm used to, because I'm lazy that way.
Okay.
I think it sounds like a time saver to me to go to do what you suggested. You're just kind of always staying on top of it, so that's why I like your idea.
Well, actually, we could have a subcommittee do it. We'll work on this. Volunteer.
Oh. I don't know about that.
Keeper of the calendar. Essentially, it would be, you would just kind of keep a calendar.
Yeah.
And just kind of, you know, you're just looking ahead, and it doesn't mean you're really doing any heavy-duty planning, you're just looking at the last year. You know, okay, well, we did that, so I wanna put that on that, you know, a year, I wanna put this here, just as a reminder, just as a, and you've kind of done it here. And we talked about, essentially what we've talked about, having this work plan essentially is that sort of thing.
Penciling things in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, so I'm, in terms of work, the work plan's about the workload too, really.
Okay.
On the commission. And for instance, we have, a ad hoc on reviewing the emergency operations plan. And I was gonna ask for an ad hoc on the safety fair as well. That's another larger event that I've been doing a lot of stuff on, but it'd be helpful to have a brain on, because there's some decisions to be made. So I'd be willing to work on that, and then probably a couple other activities. But if maybe you guys wanna do the planning part, you can do that whole documentation, keeping us on track stuff. That would be great. So there's just some things I wanna work on. But then I also wanted to propose too, I just talked to Brittany briefly and said, you know, it might be nice to have some kind of activity on our plan to collaborate with Rancheria, coordinate with Rancheria, and somehow find some ways to work together. And that would probably fit in more to a more casual approach and a change in that kind of thing.
Sure.
That you're talking about too.
Right.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Having attended some of their training last year, I think it's valuable. It's actually a resource because you have to really can't afford that kind of stuff. So it's great to piggyback off of that.
They have a shelter, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on over there that, when the big one happens, or whenever the next big emergency happens, we'll be having to work together. And doing it ahead of time is always good. So, how should we move forward
Okay.
on this?
Well, I think the work plan as it is now is fine. And I can, yeah, and I can format it in the type of the yearly, and that can be discussed. It doesn't have to be adopted, but I will put it in a, you know, essentially I'll put it in a format that makes it a little more easy to understand, I guess, from what I'm just talking here. It just occurred to me that this sort of thing is, you know, we're not really reinventing the wheel or doing anything really different than a lot of other agencies do with their whatever their activity plans or whatever they've got going. Especially if you have annual events like the safety fair, and/or and this and that, so.
Right. So, yeah, I'm just not familiar with that process, and it'd be good to see how it works in real time.
Yeah. And so, one of the things that Lynn and I talked about, that I wanted to bring forward that's in this work plan, educating citizens on how to bring traffic safety things is that I don't think it's really our business to involve ourselves in enforcement issues. And the I Street survey was really about, not so much about enforcement, it was about physical things that could be done in that space to reduce speed. That there was a conflict between what the past city manager had planned for and what the citizens actually wanted. And so,
I remember that.
so that was really the driver of that survey. And then recently we had someone come forward from the A Street neighborhood who wanted to slow the traffic down there. And I do believe
Donnie
there's-
Bednar, my
Yeah,
neighbor.
yeah.
I was gonna ask what happened with that because we don't have speed bumps or anything yet, so I was
Right.
wondering if anything.
And the
happened.
thing is that speed bumps are fairly expensive. They're about 10 grand a piece to put in, with the engineering and with the materials and having to figure out where they go so they don't interfere with traffic turning and whatnot. And to me, that's not really our business, because we're not traffic engineers. What that business is that's about enforcement. And that's why it was, pertinent, and Council Member Scafani brought up that sort of thing, is something we can ask the Sheriff's Department to deal with. And to go park a car there.
Right.
Even if they can't write tickets because they don't have the radars and whatnot, a car there will slow people down. It's the same thing with, someone set up to watch for stop sign, people blowing the stop signs. Not only will it keep people from blowing the stop signs, but it will slow people down. And so to me, if that sort of request comes to this body, my opinion is that the answer is, please contact City Hall. The city manager, by ordinance, is responsible for law enforcement in the city, and try to arrange for the Sheriff's Department to come and do specific traffic control and or enforcement in that neighborhood.
On that corner.
Right. The survey was great. It was a kind of a neat thing to do, to get involved and find out what neighbors wanted. But that was, the other issue is really an enforcement issue. And yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have a town with speed tables, everywhere.
I was just laughing.
That's efficient.
Because the first, I don't know is it C Street, the first one when you're coming into Blue Lake, the first left, is that C Street?
Yeah.
I believe they have like 3 of those frickin' bumps. I'm like, let's just take a couple of those and move them. Do they have to stay there?
Those are speed bumps.
Pardon?
Those are speed bumps, but we want speed tables, that's really the way.
Oh, I don't know the difference.
The one in front on Charlton, by my house, are tables, and they are flat, they're kind of about.
Yeah, they're the wide ones that are.
They're like 3 foot wide, 4 foot wide, so you go up, you run across, and you go back down.
Like what's on Greenwood. Those are speed tables on Greenwood.
Right.
Oh, I
The little bumps that jar your teeth, those are speed bumps.
Okay.
They're
And the-
cheaper, but they're not recommended. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
they're hard
It does
on the
make you
vehicle.
really slow
They're
down.
very hard.
Hard on vehicles, a trailer with no suspension hits those and goes kabam!
Yeah.
Wakes everybody up at night.
That's true.
Yeah. I know that one way where they put a bunch of those really tall speed bumps. I hate going over those. They're really bad.
Yeah, I think all these things are really enforcement issues. And
Yeah,
so,
well, there were some other ideas, though. There were some bulb out ideas, there's traffic calming stuff that came up. And then also, I thought that the most basic was just a speed limit sign.
well, yes,
There are no speed limit signs.
Anywhere,
Is it anywhere? Yeah.
pretty much.
Just in front of the school.
We have them on Greenwood, and that's about the
Yeah.
only.
There's one down on one end of Charlton
Is there?
where
Yeah,
you
there
slow
is-
up,
there
where they
actually
slow
is.
you up right before the bumps. Cause they tell you to slow down because they're speed bumps.
well, yes, yeah, and by default, that the speed limit is 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that's in the ordinance.
People don't know that.
Yeah. Well, people generally do know it, they just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I agree that putting in speed limit signs is probably a good thing, but we don't really have to have a survey to do that. We can just tell the council, hey, maybe we need to put out more speed limit signs on these problem areas as well as trying to get some targeted enforcement.
It does kind of expands the process for a community or a neighborhood that wants some traffic control. You could include maybe the first line is enforcement with speed, and certainly the city manager can make that call. But if it's something else, and it gets more complex, then should there be, I think one of our mandates is traffic safety. So,
Well, yes, and at the same time, sometimes complaints, while they're legitimate, are not really, it's not really a traffic safety issue. It's really an enforcement issue, is my point. Is that the entire, actually, when you really look at it, the I Street issue is an enforcement issue. It's not a bulb out issue, it's not a speed table issue, it's an enforcement issue. Because neighborhoods have had streets for 100 years with vehicles on them. And often, quite frankly, when you have these issues where people are just kind of wild westing it and they're speeding down and they're just breaking the law, it's usually because there's no law enforcement presence.
Yep.
And you know, the people, you know, I drive slow, I drive, you know, the speed limit going down those places, and sometimes a little slower if I see kids. And other people do the same, and then there's other people that are just gonna speed.
well, it can be a more comprehensive issue. I mean, enforcement's really important, and it's very basic, and communities like ours have to be creative with enforcement because we don't have police departments, right? We have more intermittent law enforcement. But I think there've been some studies, and I think the Ingham City Manager Jill directed us to a workshop on pedestrian safety and the whole school of thought around designing communities to be safe for pedestrians and cars and bicyclists and all that kind of thing. And part of the approach involves enforcement, but another part involves design.
And design costs money.
Right,
And
it
this
does.
city got the money to do it.
It does, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can design all you want, and if there's no infrastructure there to back it up,
right.
you're wasting your time, you're wasting your effort, and you get depressed because you're trying to get something going. So you gotta know what the expenditure is.
Right.
Right, well,
Ma,
go ahead.
do we just like chit chat? We just cut in and talk? I don't know how formal it's supposed to be,
It's kind of,
Yeah.
whatever.
you know,
Okay,
how y'all
I was
decide.
just thinking, after you said that, my concern, the reason, I don't care if, somebody's speeding through in a car and they hit something. You know, what I care about is the kids that I see on their, this is my concern. The kids on their scooters and stuff and bikes that fly through there, and a car wouldn't know they were coming around the corner so fast and they might get hurt. So perhaps we need to do something like educate the kids, because the kids are not stopping. The kids are not doing any kind of traffic safety at
Yeah,
all.
that can be a part of your safety fair.
Right. The point, and part of my point is that, you know, what we're focusing on, we have a limited amount of time to do. And I don't wanna get caught up in spinning my wheels on making a bunch of recommendations that can't be enacted. Because of the reality of it. Two, I just heard an interview today with, one of the top officials of the Eureka Police Department. And they were talking about the I Street and the H Street traffic slowing, you know, where they cut out the lane and they put in all that stuff, and it's made zero difference.
Yeah.
And there's some of the other areas that they've done some of that stuff in some of what was supposed to, you know, other neighborhoods. It's not really making that much of a difference.
I know my friend lives on C Street and she had done to her street, and she said it does because the cars are put on the street very much.
Well, yeah,
Everybody avoids
well, yeah,
the street, yeah.
they're just avoiding the
They're
street.
avoiding.
So that really means that, well,
So
I guess in
reducing-
one way, that's a success. For her it is, but it's not functioning as intended.
Right.
And so I believe in solutions that work and not solutions that are necessarily trendy. And I think a lot of the pedestrian and the bicycle stuff is trendy. It's not necessarily works. And so,
I think some places it has, I'm sorry.
well, and I'm sure in
But
some
we
places
don't
it
have-
has.
As you said, we don't have a budget
Yeah,
for doing that kind of thing, but we do have budgets for speed limit signs, probably, I don't know.
right,
And there is a budget where the city has for roads, improvements and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and that's mostly pothole repair and that. We get, I think, 29,000 whole dollars a year to spend on pothole repair, and usually that particular, there's one little pool of money that's around 30,000, and we usually target some area or project for that money. The last 2 years, that was all supposed to have been spent around the town square area. And I don't know if it was all spent there. The year before, it was spent up in Northfield Terrace to get a little bit more pavement done, along with the pavement that happened after all the PG&E stuff was concluded. So that's a piece that's like specifically earmarked for maintenance. We do get some other dollars that are for ongoing roads, but probably not specifically earmarked for a particular area or project. So, yeah, I mean, my thought in some of these areas is that in years past, I Street was identified as a problem. I travel I Street all the time, and I don't know that it is a problem. I mean, I think that
RI Street or?
RI Street. I'm just talking about
Which we're talking
Blue
about,
Lake.
sorry.
Yeah, it's the last. It's a wide street that goes directly, from the boulevard to almost to Railroad. Right, Railroad is our alternate truck route. So when Blue Lake Boulevard's closed, which happens on occasion, all the trucks have to come down Greenwood and go out Railroad, out past the cemetery and out towards Corbell. That's the only way to get through. If the boulevard's closed, which, it's been quite a few years, but there was a summer when it was closed the entire summer because they were replacing the bridge over Powers Creek. It's been a while. But yeah, all the trucks, every logging truck went on down Railroad. Okay.
I lived across from the cemetery, and
Yes.
it was awful.
Yes, it was
I
different.
live next to the bridge.
Yeah.
That's my yard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's something that, I think a lot of people figure, I heard somebody once say that they wanted to make Railroad a one-way street by the Logger Bar. And I was like, what are you talking about? That's our alternate truck route. You can't make it a one-way street. So there's things we have to kind of keep in mind. We might come up with some vision of the perfect layout for the city, but part of it is like, what are the needs? What are the problems and what are the needs? And I think that it's important to identify real problems using real, process, not just go, I've been standing on I Street and seen people go too fast down I Street. I mean, that's, we need a little bit, something with a little more meat to it than that, right? That's a nice wide street. That'd be perfect for roundabouts. No, thank you. Just because it's wide doesn't mean it needs a roundabout. Just because there's a tot lot, along I Street doesn't mean that it's a child safety issue. So I'm a big fan of speed limit signs, slow down signs, little flashy signs, whatever you need, before you start, pouring cement and rolling out the asphalt to slow people down. So,
The little signs that tell you how fast you're going, those are fabulous.
I think those
I
help.
don't know how expensive they are, but
yes.
I catch
They're
myself
great, but,
all the time.
but
Like, I better slow down.
I just walked to the Mad River Bar tonight, had dinner.
Yeah.
And I had 3 cars pass me as I'm walking up, and I can see that sign. And every single one of them, it was flashing, "You're going too fast," and everybody shoots up it. I mean, it's and it's a plain old thing. If you don't have a cop there, and if a person's at the point who's going to break the law, he's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They think they're gonna get caught, then that's.
Well, and that won't even change it. he'll get caught, he'll pay the ticket, and which way will I go different? So I don't get caught.
Well, the city has a complaint process, so if you see a problem,
Yes.
you're welcome to, you should encourage
Voice it,
people,
encourage them to vote,
if this
yes.
is an issue for you, please go fill out the form and submit it, because we need to get that information, we need to be cataloging that information, so that, if we do have 10 grand to blow, we can go to that pile of complaints and see, well, where are our problems? What are
if you
people
see a lot
talking
of
about?
complaints coming in all of a sudden, call the sheriff department and say, hey,
Yeah,
we're
targeted,
hitting that. and-
yeah.
That was my next question, what is the process? People come.
There's a
they
formal
have
complaint
problem,
process,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, we had the complaint form, and
Right.
the process, it's,
It comes to me and then I forward it to the city manager. And then the city
And then-
manager gives direction and then we go from there.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
process.
That's
Yeah.
public education, and then we still have the role of making recommendations, should it get more complex, or?
Well, and maybe like with kids on bikes, I mean, where's the best way to address kids on bikes? At school, probably, bike safety, and I know some of the bicycle, organizations have talked about that. There was a bike rodeo I heard about in the last year or so, where it's about teaching kids, how to be safe on their bikes and challenging them through, a fun event.
Yeah,
RCMA
Redwood,
or whatever, they
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
put something.
the Mountain Bike Association sets up a booth at the safety fair, they pass out, helmet, they give away free helmets and things like that. And maybe, include in the city booth, a bicycle safety flyer, for a neighborhood thing. If they, or see if they'd be willing to distribute an urban, essentially urban or suburban bicycle safety information sheet. That could go out.
The school, because you
I don't,
talk to the school and see if they're having a bike rodeo, they might be already doing it, I don't know.
It might be. And I think if you see some little kid that lives in your neighborhood flying around a corner, it doesn't hurt to slow him down.
I know we're gonna get hit.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt to get a hold of them and say, hey, let's go talk to your mom and dad. I wanna have a chat with your folks before I see you get splatted in that intersection.
See, I always see him on the camera, I'm never out front.
Yeah.
I'm always out back or in the soda studio. I'm upstairs
Well,
selling.
anyway, nothing gets a kid to pay attention than, that whole tap on the shoulder thing.
That's true,
So at the
I might think about that if I see that he's going by at the same time.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a really good idea, I should start there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
At the safety fair, last year, they did have I think it was the Coast Mountain Bike Association, they gave away the helmets. But I asked Molly if we could publicize that, and she said no. You have to be just done at the safety fair, but she said if you publicize it too much, they get too much demand and they can't handle it.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but we could also, be looking at something from bike safety, we can talk about the safety fair a little bit, because we're gonna be changing a little bit this year.
Does anybody have any connection to the school at all?
Not anymore.
Just thinking it wouldn't hurt to find out if they've got any bike safety programs there and kind of try to build on that, maybe.
See what they do.
Or having somebody talk to students in classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought, that they might have,
Yeah, the kids need to learn about safety when they're on their electric scooters and bikes.
Yeah.
Cause I was riding my bike past your house, and this kid got broadsided me on his electric scooter.
Yep, he goes so fast.
And it was getting dark, and he had no headlights where I did. So the kids need to be taught what to do if they're gonna be riding something fast.
Yeah, there's some legislation in the process
That's the whole issue.
for, maybe looking at registering and licensing electric bicycles and scooters.
Only for a certain speed and a certain, 1, 2, or 3 of electric bikes.
Yeah.
Then they have to be licensed and insured.
people get a little crazy. All right, let's see if we can move on from traffic.
So the other thing we're talking about, where is
Essentially, just an update of where we're at with the emergency operations plan review, which is, we still need the electronic files. I still need the
Oh, I
electronic
need to
files
send that to you.
so that I can start reading it.
Yes,
And so
I'll send those to you tomorrow morning,
Okay,
and I'll just send you what I have, and then
yeah,
we'll go from there.
yeah, that's fine.
So do we want our goals to be, to make recommendations to the city council, do some public education? I think we talked about that earlier, the fact that I've been hearing people of the public, members of the public over the years say, we don't have anything going on, the city's not prepared, and, just some general concerns, and educating people that, yes, we do have an emergency operations plan, and this is what it says, could be helpful.
Yep.
And then we also talked about, doing a simulated emergency drill, a tabletop drill, which is a kind of a big issue that the Public Safety Commission has taken on in years past, and not gotten very far with, but it can be done at all different levels. So I think we talked about, as we review the plan, we're thinking about, well, how is this, what needs to be done so that a tabletop can happen.
So we can actually exercise it, and actually teach it and exercise it. Yeah, the flow has to be, we have to review the plan. We have to make the recommendations on the rewrite and update, and then we have to work with the city manager to create that actual kind of the extract that she wants as a go-to, pull out of the, when it hits, pull out of the drawer and execute.
Right.
And then we have to train that plan. And so, first steps, I agree with you that those things need to happen, but we need to have the first steps done. We need to complete those, we need to complete the review.
Right.
We need to update, we need to then write the actual action plan, or the execution plan, and then look at training it. And then looking at who we would bring in with the rancheria, the fire department, the sheriff's department, in terms of developing a tabletop.
Right. That's next year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that Jenny had mentioned is the hazard mitigation plan, which you, the city council, has been discussing, and you had it on your agenda.
Well, it was on our agenda, but we had to
Table it.
yeah. So we won't see it. I think we'll see it later this month.
Yeah, I saw John today, and he said you would be talking about it at your meeting, your regular meeting. So I pulled out, because it was on the website, it's in your packet.
Mhm.
And it's a lot more current, and it talks about specifically the hazards. If that's something else we can probably look at, as we do, review it.
I imagine that's probably gonna be in the op plan, hopefully, in the current op plan.
Yeah, well, this is 2017, and this was pretty recent. Do you know what the date was on this? I didn't.
I haven't studied it, no. So I think Jenny's either working on it or she kind of resurrected what was in the files.
Yeah, I think
And,
the last couple of years maybe.
yeah.
I think this was the one that she told me that the county had done the work on, and then the cities did some of it too, but they kind of took the lead on it, and I think it was, like I said, fairly recent. And there are a lot of names in here that are still current, except for Andy's, Mike and Gary Reeves. So, and then the other thing, piece that's in here is a reference to a survey that was done, and I don't remember hearing much about it, but there was supposed to have been a survey of the hazards, that the public filled in and gave some input to the city on.
When?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know when?
No, it said, it referred to several pieces of the survey, and that was in the big plan, I just asked.
And that doesn't necessarily have to be a survey where everybody got a piece of paper and was asked to fill something out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes they use the term survey when staff are gonna, go through the city and identify hazards or, that kind of a survey.
Physical survey,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
like an
So-
engineering survey.
yeah. So they may not have you know, it might not be anything that we would have heard about.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause I think that's specifically related to the flood mitigation, isn't it?
there's a lot of flood mitigation.
Yeah.
Not only talk about earthquakes and other things as well, but a lot of the stuff is flood mitigation.
That's the main hazard here, I think.
Yeah. a lot.
That and
Well,
fire,
earthquake,
yeah, we can't mitigate earthquakes.
yeah.
Just hang on.
Yeah.
You can construct for it, but you can't mitigate. You
Right.
can't mitigate it coming.
No.
So it seems like with both of those items, tabletop and the emergency operations plan, we might do our own work on the one hand, but then also maybe coordinate with the Rancheria for some of those exercises, because it seems like they're doing some of those
Yes.
kinds of things
Oh, absolutely.
already. And so I don't know where or how it would be appropriate for the city to combine, you know, exercises with the Rancheria to do some of that stuff.
I would, yeah, I would say, yeah, try to find out, once we have this thing sorted out, and we know what kind of training we might want, and then ask them, well, what do they do? Since they're so active, and they've obviously got a huge budget that they're able to spend the money on, and then, yeah, and then just hitch a ride,
Yeah.
We've done some tabletop.
Collaboration.
and develop those relationships with training, and then work out a combined tabletop, if at
Yeah.
all possible.
Seems that they are very willing to work with us.
Right, well, the city, no, we can talk about that one.
Yes, yeah, way down the road.
Right, so is there anything we don't want, we don't want too much on this plan, right?
Right.
So is there anything we don't wanna do this year necessarily? We have the fireworks campaign, which is fairly simple, cause you guys did a lot of the work on them. This is just a standard respond to city council requests, because that's our job. There's a operations plan, safety fair, there's a shakeout, which
What's a shakeout?
so every third Thursday in October, there's a statewide, actually international now, Thursday drill, it's called the shakeout.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know,
Oh, my
not doing my job.
I've been educated.
Certainly been trying to do education, but, and it's, you kind of do your own drill for yourself, however you want it to be, but you act like it's a big earthquake, and what would you do, you got kind of around, but that's the education we like, you know, we have some, easily developed research for the community, and I think we worked with the city before on the shakeout, and distributed some things, we're not very actively, so. We can promote it at the, safety fair,
Mhm.
but that's just the prevention piece. I thought we would be aware of. But everything else is maybe, the other thing is we don't do a lot on crime prevention. And I think that's related to the fact that we, haven't had much crime in Blue Lake recently, but in the past we certainly have. And that's when neighborhood watch programs were getting going. So it's kind of faded away in people's minds right now, but I don't think we have any neighborhood watches now that
I
I'm
don't
aware of. So there used to be one.
Not that I'm aware of.
But, I did get contacted by Ginger Campbell, who is a neighborhood watch, contact person for the sheriff,
Right,
about, National Night Out, which is something that they're doing now, and it's the second Tuesday in August. And, it's kind of very eclectic, people, I was looking online, and they have ice cream socials, and it's kind of like getting neighborhoods together with police officers, and, you know, getting relationships formed, and having neighborhoods bond and get together. But, that's something we can think about doing. Ginger might ask us again, I guess, next year, but that's nothing to put in the plan, that's just not gonna apply.
Future agenda item.
Yeah, future road plan item, and because it's crime prevention, we're not doing anything else on crime prevention.
Mhm.
Yeah, promoting that in July and August. You know, maybe getting a little something going on in town.
And
That'd be-
ask Ginger what she has. I asked her for a brochure before and she didn't really have anything, I don't think, but maybe she will. As they do it more, as they do it year to year now.
Mhm.
That's just
Okay,
something
I like the ice cream social part.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
We could, well, we could maybe try to do a, something at the Grange,
Yeah, we could
potentially.
possibly do it, yeah.
You know, I mean, I know the idea of this is to have smaller little groups around neighborhoods where everybody learns to look out for each other, but you could potentially start it out with, you know, something at the Grange and try to educate.
The sheriff's come and
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
and maybe the fire
Yes.
department too, come and get to know your fire department and,
Hmm.
so.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Let's see, ice cream social. So that's-
Make sure that we have oat milk ice cream too, not just dairy.
Oh, man, me too.
You too? Yeah.
Let's see, neighborhood watch.
Yeah, they neighborhood watch program. What would you say about working with Rancheria? Reach out to Rancheria?
Yeah, I would say reach out to Brittany and get a hold of their training calendar
Mm-hmm.
and see, you know, and, I mean, I still get the emails occasionally from that training company that puts on, that put on that big.
Listos, California.
Yeah, Listos, yeah.
Oh, right.
I've been getting those, but that's kind of hit or miss. And I imagine Listos is not the only game in town as far as they're obviously doing their own local training. They wouldn't be involved with Listos. So we should just get their training calendar and then see what we can line up as far as attendance for us and or other community members that would be, you know, that
And
would be interested.
It might be good to meet with Brittany quarterly,
Yeah.
not just necessarily just at these meetings, but to have a little brief meeting and say, hey, what do you got coming up? What do you see us, you know, participating in? You know,
That's relevant to.
yeah. I mean, because maybe there's certain trainings that are going to be happening, and if you know a month or a month and a half ahead of time, we can promote them in town and try to get more people from Blue Lake participating in those, and then you know.
There's a couple of trainings they've had that really needed city folks at, the mitigation plan, recovery plan training. But I went to that training and gave the materials to Jenny, but it was like right there, and if we knew way ahead, like if we knew and they knew,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe we could, because you guys have so much going on, you guys, it's a city, you know, they have full.
Yeah, and I think some of that information is probably coming through on some wavelength, but if it's going to the right people or actually getting noticed, I don't know. But that's something we
I
could
think the
keep an eye
idea
on.
of the, really giving the neighborhood watch a push is a great idea because, I've got all kinds of new people that have moved in my neighborhood. The old goat house, people just moved in there, 2 doors down across the street, new people there, so they don't know people in the neighborhood, so, yeah. I'm sure other neighborhoods are the same, lots of new people moving in, so it'd be a great time to meet your neighbors and find out about
Good
the,
advantages, yeah. Yeah, we have 2 things going on. We've had neighborhood watch for a long time. We've also had the emergency preparedness pods. So the pods are doing roughly the same thing, but it's not crime prevention. Neighborhood watch is specifically crime prevention. And I think I've seen interest wane as the crime goes down, which is good. The crime's going down, but yeah, on the website, you have the neighborhood watch link. And I watched the video last night and found out that my house was in it.
What?
About neighborhood watch. I did not remember this. Kit Man was like, for like about 5 minutes, he's talking about, because we put neighborhood watch into our pods. And we kind of incorporated it. And he did this whole thing about how great it was. And then he walked up to our house and David answers the door. And, and I said, Kit, did you remember? He said, I totally forgot I was even in this. But that's the major promotion for neighborhood watch for the county.
how funny.
So, there's a lot of opportunities, I think, in Ginger,
Yeah.
as a person that can help.
Yeah, and we discussed this early on when I first came aboard the safety commission. We talked about the neighborhood watch and whatnot. And it seemed to be the consensus, and the reality was that the pods were a lot more active, and that the neighborhood watch thing was kind of either non-existent or would fold into, those kind of activities, or watching out for your neighbors is kind of, that's what the pod people, the pod people are doing. That sounds good.
I need to find more about the pods then,
Okay, yeah.
if you have flyers and such.
But it's not a bad idea to use a one-time event.
Okay.
Right.
I think it's a pretty good idea to use a one-time event, like an ice cream social or something like that.
Yeah.
Circle back to that ice cream.
Have ice cream and do that kind of neighborly meet and greet that you might not get otherwise, from and use it as a public safety standpoint.
And maybe bring in the Rancheria folks too, and,
Mm-hmm.
at the range and,
Right,
yeah, that sounds great.
all right.
Very-
And so the other piece of that emergency operations plan thing under number 10 is B, the safety fair.
Yes.
We determined the date. I know it's generally it's showing like a 3-month window here, and we talked about several September dates.
Right, we have several options. We have, events in the park, the 2 dates that we would use in September. So the second Saturday in September is the one that we were hoping to get, but that's the baseball tournament, and we were gonna try and work with them, but it turns out it's not a good idea. So, the third Saturday in September was the one we did last year, and we had a pretty not poor turnout, but it wasn't the turnout that we had before, because that was a big weekend, with the North Country Fair, and there were a lot of other activities kind of at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
A lot
that,
of people go to that.
they do, and that fair was the same, we've done it the last 2 years with the Resource Center. And the Resource Center's had a grant to do this type of outreach community activity. And it involved more than basic safety, so we would have fall prevention from, I think Humboldt State had a senior fall prevention program, and there were a lot of health, drug and alcohol prevention kind of thing. There were a lot of health tables from agencies in the community, but their budget cutbacks have meant that they can't do weekends anymore. And there have been some cutbacks to Molly's time here at the Resource Center from St. Joe's, yeah. She's now an hourly employee instead of a salaried employee, and the agencies, like I said, have cut back their time that's available. So, we talked about going back to a model that the pods did about 6 or 7 years ago, which was a smaller safety fair. We would involve just a very Blue Lake specific, because this one pulled in people from other parts of the community, of the county. We would be talking about the sheriff, the fire department, probably Office of Emergency Services and the sheriff's department, pods, maybe neighborhood watches, they would come in, but it would be very much smaller and very focused on Blue Lake itself. And we could do it either here in the parking lot, around these buildings, or we can do it at the Grange, because the other part of it was Touch a Truck, and that part was pretty popular with the kids, and the Touch a Truck part had the ambulance, fire department, the helicopter wasn't here last year, which was part of our problem, because they were a really big draw the year before that. And I think PG&E had a truck, and, but there were about 8 trucks out here on the road, so if you want to do that too, we could do that, I think, on Railroad here. So, anyway, so we could do it, the Grange, if we wanted to do it on the same September, and we could also do it later in September, because the Grange would be inside, because the rain is another problem.
Is this something that you guys have like an ad hoc for the safety fair?
That's my next thing.
Okay, because I was under the impression this agenda item was just going to be establishing that, and then further, because we didn't sort of be mindful of all the things.
Right now, and I would like to have another person, maybe form an ad hoc, if anybody's interested in working on a safety fair with me.
I'm so new and I don't really know anything about the safety fair, but if I could be of help to you, I would happily
Okay.
do that with you. Yeah.
Yes, we're going to committee, and
Perfect.
thank you for reminding me to put this down. It is, the ad hoc is formed, and we'll get together and get them going on that.
Very good.
But Molly's willing to help us, she is fabulous.
Yes, she is.
She knows the ins and outs.
Yes, and food is the other thing, we're gonna have to arrange for, she'll give us money for hot dogs and for
Okay.
not ice cream,
Good.
Ice cream jag.
Yeah. Alrighty.
All right, do we have any other, information on the work plan?
I think as long as we have a committee going, I see this is now April,
Mhm.
and we were told that's 3 months out, so we should start contacting people and stuff, so.
Okay. All right, and number 11,
Yeah.
I'm very excited to have our review commissioner orientation packet.
Yeah.
Feedback to the city clerk.
Yeah, so just looking for any feedback that you guys might have. This is definitely something that I was thinking about early on into becoming the clerk, and Lynn also was, suggesting having commissioner orientation packets, and I was like, oh, I've been thinking the same thing. So I kind of took some of the things that you provided and made this packet, which I envisioned going into a binder, and just like maybe a 1-inch binder, and everyone can have for their terms if they want it. That way I don't have to, not wasting paper and just printing packet after packet after packet, because the information will stay relatively the same. So there's that little welcome letter there that's tailored specifically to the Public Safety Commission. You'll see that there's listed attachments for your convenience. I didn't include those in your packets because I didn't want to overwhelm you with a lot of paper, but you can see there, there's some FAQ, some frequently asked questions, which I did include because it wasn't that long. And again, looking for your feedback. So if you're like, I don't need the founding documents, then, I can take that feedback and bring you something revised. But I included in there your founding documents, which is the ordinance number 524. I was thinking having like a 1-page Rosenberg cheat sheet, which I've found online, just so new commissioners understand the basics of how to make a motion, what are the motion, what is a basic motion. There's that. The Form 700, as you guys have known and learned about, and thank you all for getting that to me. That one is specific to the commission because you guys are not required, you guys don't fall into the same disclosure category as, say, council members, so it's, limited in its financial reporting, so I've taken out the pages that don't apply to the commissioners, essentially. So instead of 26 pages, it's like 8 pages or something. And then roles and responsibilities, that's also included in this packet. Some feedback I got at the Parks and Rec Commission by their liaison, Kat, was to include in everyone's packet. So my envision was roles and responsibilities as the chair, as the vice chair, as the secretary, and then the commissioners. I got some feedback suggesting that I include all of the roles so that a commissioner knows what the chair, his responsibilities are, which I felt like made sense. And so, those ones were showing blank. So if you guys have any feedback for me, I will make some notes. But otherwise, that's what I got for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looks good. I have a question about the expectation. What are the expectations for commissioners in a meeting? And the last one, follow open meeting laws. What are open meeting laws?
The Brown Act.
Okay, maybe we should say the Brown Act.
Yeah.
Let's put it in quotes or something like that, so we'll know we need to look at something specific.
And that was another thing I actually got suggested recommendation was to include like a 1-pager most important things to know, per the Brown Act, about the Brown Act as a commissioner. And that full Brown Act handbook you can find on our city website, and maybe I can include that, or actually no, it says that, what is the Brown Act, how does it affect my work as an advisory commissioner? Question 3, that last sentence, directs you to the city's website for the most up-to-date handbook. And I hate the 2 pages, I'm sorry.
So the other thing is,
I'm missing something, is that right?
this is kind of for at least 2, so number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it says, listen to public input, commissioners should listen respectfully and avoid engaging in debate with members of the public. So, I'm thinking that might be, I ran this by my husband too, because he was on the planning commission for 10 years. It almost sounds like there shouldn't, an issue that's come up in city council before, which is, are we listening to the public and just answering their questions and having discussions, which I think we are here, or are we treating it more like a non-agenda item where we just listen and don't say anything, you know what I'm saying?
That's really up to the discretion of the commission. And it's, I mean, that rule is in place to keep things from devolving into some sort of a debate during public comment. But also in some of these situations, like if somebody's coming in and there's really nothing to discuss, I mean, but if you have some clarifying questions of a comment that somebody's made in public comment, there's nothing to stop you from asking those. And sometimes you might, various commissioners might say, would the chair mind, I'd like to ask a question. So it just, the chair can kind of control whether or not there's more discussion. But I think as a commission in general, I think most of the commissions, do a little bit more conversation and back and forth with the public at these meetings.
Seems like the council does now too.
Well-
It used to be that we would ask questions and we never got any answers. There was never any back and forth.
But getting an
Now
answer,
there is.
getting an answer and having conversation are a little bit different, right? So somebody somebody can come up at the beginning of the meeting and make comment about something that's not on your agenda, and you might just decide to let that go and let that stand at where they leave it, But then when we're discussing agenda items and somebody comes up with questions, a lot of times the council or the commissions are going to want to answer those questions because that's kind of a helpful part of the discussion and the whole topic, But you might also, depending on time, you might say, no, we can't really get into the weeds on that tonight. So, maybe you don't have time to answer all the questions. But anyway, it's.
It's liaison between the public and the council, so listening to the public is a big part of our job.
Yeah.
So that's, I was proposing some different possible language, which can be modified. Listen to public input, answer questions, and facilitate a discussion to clarify the issues and bring them to city council when appropriate. Because that's what was supposed to go with us.
You're looking at, if we can ask questions.
Expectations of the commissioners in a meeting after the welcome letter.
Did you miss, where's your packet?
This is frequently asked questions right here. This is the whole thing. I think I'm missing
Now,
something.
is this,
Should be after this one.
And if you're talking about under core responsibilities, under the roles of responsibilities.
Above, do I need to fill out a fair campuses,
It'd be-
statement of economic interest form, window file?
I can number these questions too, so that's
Okay,
easier.
Above that is what are the expectations of commissioners in a meeting?
Yeah, question 5.
Do you have that one?
I got it.
I have it. So what was the suggested change?
I was suggesting listen to public input, answer questions, and facilitate a discussion to clarify the issues and bring them to the city council when appropriate.
so that would be the bottom sentence?
That would be.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, it would be the bottom, that would replace the bottom sentence, or the bottom,
Second to last.
yeah, second to last.
How do the other commissioners feel about that?
Well, I think you really don't want to get into a big old debate with people. I mean, I don't have a problem with,
Right.
avoid engaging in debate.
So,
You
It's also
know,
the
you might just add answer questions as
Well,
appropriate
I
or
think
something.
the purpose of this is not necessarily telling us what to do. This is just giving any commission, any of the commissioners, a general outline of kind of how you're supposed to go about it. And then your individual commission will have its own specifications, its own requirements to how to carry that out.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing stopping you from answering a question, and providing clarification if you have that clarification right there and then.
I mean, it's already written in, in the ordinance of what the commission is supposed to do.
right.
So that doesn't really need to be, I don't think it really needs to be necessarily repeated in the welcome packet. Where the welcome packet is just trying to give information to the individual counselors as a brief guide of what, hey, this is kind of what's coming to you. You could also have a thing in there, please see the ordinance, refer to the ordinance that directs your commission for specific direction
Yeah.
and or specific items that your commission will be expected to handle.
You think having that at the end of the FAQs and then having the ordinance after that would be helpful?
Yeah,
Okay.
or refer, I mean, and I suppose you could do that for each.
Mhm,
Okay,
yeah.
this guy's coming on planning commission, so I wanna attach the planning commission ordinance. I wanna attach that piece to him, and I will give that to him, or they're coming on to the public safety commission, so I'm gonna attach that, and give that to review.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ordinance directs us to do those things that you're saying. This is kind of a, what do you call it, Emily's Guide to Social Behavior, as to what you're expected to kind of do in a general way in the meeting. It's not telling us exactly what we, how we're gonna function based on the ordinance.
Yeah.
That
Just kind of like an
guides our-
added
That
glance.
guides our commission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was trying to, what Angela was talking about, where several years ago at the council was instructed not to answer questions in the public, and it was kind of a big cutoff of communication between the audience and the council.
And I think that happened because there was a period of time where there were no rules really being followed, and there became a lot of back and forth and debate that got really non-productive, I think, at one point. And so somebody said to the attorney, hey, what do we do about this? This is getting to be kind of a mess. And so the attorney came in and said, hey, this is how you deal with that problem.
She said, you don't have to answer public questions.
Right. It's up to you whether you do or you don't. Or if the question's not a question that the council or a council member can answer, council can direct staff to answer the question. If you determine that, yes, we want the public to have an answer to this particular question or that one. Maybe people ask 10 questions and you'll decide to answer half of them. But it's just a means to maintain order and to keep the meetings from going off the rails. And so I think it's appropriate for every commission to know what that is. And if you need to, you follow it. And if you have time and you don't, have constraints, you don't have to follow it, really rigidly. But it's there to give you an idea of how to keep your meetings on track.
Yeah. I wonder if you could add something about answer questions. It just somehow, to me, this kind of sounds very, kind of less communicative and less.
Yeah, I think maybe answer questions as appropriate, or something like that.
And answer questions.
Listen to public input is really good. Listen respectfully is really good. Maybe we should add answer questions. I mean, debate. I know what you're saying. You don't want to have kind of a back and forth big argument.
Yeah, you don't want it to devolve, and that's the whole point. A debate, kind of, it could be a friendly debate, but it might not. So, I mean, I think that word just kind of leaves it open.
Yeah, if we add answer
my experience was that some people got answers and some people didn't. So, my thing is, it should be the same for everyone, no one should get special treatment. So if we're answering questions, answer for everybody. If we're not answering questions, don't answer for everybody. That's kind of how I feel. There should be zero special treatment. Everybody should be treated the same.
So that would kind of open it up to the commissions to answer the questions, and the whole reason that we're here, we're not city council, is to
Right.
discuss whatever issues are in the
Yeah,
urban.
and then advice.
Yeah, advise. Do you wanna add language about bringing to city council when appropriate, or that part you said is in the.
That's in the
That's in the
snow.
ordinance.
It's in the ordinance.
So we have to
So
look
this
at
is,
that.
this is, like I said, this is a general guide.
Mhm.
I think whatever happens in the ordinance, you just attach that, attach that piece to whoever it's going to.
Mhm. Ordinance
then-
is
and then-
part of this.
And then the chair, the chair of that commission can make those determinations or corrections and guidance and guide the discussion. And make the decision whether or not if we have an answer we can actually give somebody, then we give it to them. If we don't, then we just say, okay, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
So you can answer questions in the leader.
Yes, I will add that.
This is great.
Yeah, and then the roles and responsibilities is, so I made the edit after the fact. So the Parks and Rec one I presented was slightly different, but this is what would be included in everyone's packet, no matter if you're a chair, a vice chair, or secretary. It gives the roles and responsibilities for all the commissioners, and then it gives a brief, breakdown of the roles and responsibilities as the chair and the secretary, and the vice chair acts as the chair in the chair's absence. So that one's, looped together. And those are from the ordinance. But yeah. Do you have any
No, this
suggestions?
this is good.
Cool.
This is very good.
You guys like the idea of it being in a binder? Something you can give back.
So are
if
you
needed.
saying you're gonna make a whole bunch of binders and you'll kind of check them out?
We
when
have
a
so
new-
many. Yeah. That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking. And I have a bunch of plastic sleeves that I could put them in so they don't get messed up.
And maybe a new commissioner wants to see it
Yeah.
and study it
Yeah.
and then give it back.
Check it out.
Well, the
Yeah.
electronic.
Check it in.
In the
Yeah, or
digital
if
age,
you- yeah,
just
or-
send it, it should be emailed to every new commissioner.
Yeah. And then
Immediately, and then they
yeah.
can peruse it, and if they want a hard copy.
totally.
you
I
know,
like that idea,
I think
yeah.
that's,
Everyone
have it on
can-
hand if
Yeah.
people wanna, review it, but
Cool.
I'd say just email that sucker.
Yeah. And then if someone wants it,
I like paper,
I know, you're more of a.
You'll get a binder.
I'm proud that I.
I
Cool.
only started checking my email every day, what was that, at least 2 years ago or
That's right,
something?
you're gonna be able to pay
I would
attention
let
to
it
that.
go months at a time, nobody's emailing me.
I'll make those minor corrections and
Alright,
Having
Yeah.
options. But
alright.
this is great because I think in the past, the commissioners didn't really know anything.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I came in blind.
yeah.
And
So
I was
did I.
just like, hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm here. What am I supposed to do?
You just have to kind of pay attention and hope that you,
Start
Yeah.
picking things up.
yeah.
Alright, so are we all done with 11?
Yes.
I think we flogged it pretty
Yeah,
good.
we
Yeah.
beat it pretty good.
Alright, future agenda items.
Coming up next month is May. So. Hopefully progress on the review of the plan, if there is anybody, we don't have to. You wanna keep it on the agenda as we're reviewing it? Or we-
Yes, because we'll want to go over the items that are actually on the work plan. Because probably the May time, we're gonna probably want to really start focusing on just the little July 4th
Mhm.
fireworks education thing,
Right.
because the time will go fast.
Because we know what happened last time.
Exactly.
How about for this?
To be able to,
I think other commission when I was on before, we used to have a standing work plan agenda item, and then we could talk about anything
Okay,
in the
yeah.
work plan. ourselves, we can specify,
Yeah, work plan items.
you know, these standard. Safety fair.
Safety fair, we should touch.
Yeah, we
Just-
should make a decision on that.
Yeah, on it, well, yeah, we gotta pick a date. I like your idea though of the smaller one with the touch a truck, if that's possible to pull off.
Yeah, we at the Grange, we'd have a very small touch of truck because the Grange parking lot is small.
Well, yeah, so I was thinking this area might be more
But if you
desirable.
want, it's indoors at the Grange, you got this, so we can go into October if you want to.
Mhm.
Do you know?
Well, there's some conflicts in October too. But yeah, if you wanted to do a mostly indoor thing, then you can evaluate, you can go later in October,
Touch truck would be outside, but
right?
yeah, we'll hash it out. There's all these what ifs. If we wanted to close the street, on, what is that street, in front of the hall?
Hatchery, that's Hatchery Road.
Yeah, that's Hatchery until it gets up to Railroad.
Right, so that block there, is that your problem?
Well, you have to have a permit. You have to do, and and there's, you could only go from the corner of the Grange, I think, to Railroad.
Which corner?
The corner of Vance Lake Lane, you can't close that because people live there. That's the only way in. So, so you'd only be able to close like a block.
Oh, yeah.
But it requires,
Permits.
a permit for that.
I would say just block off the parking in front of the Emporium. Go there with some sawhorses and tape and block it off.
Well, you can't, the city
You
has
can't
to
do
do
that.
it.
City
The
has
city
to do
has to
that.
do it. Anytime that a road's gonna be closed, there has to be, what do they call that?
Encroachment permit?
Encroachment, thank you very much. Yes, encroachment permit.
So
Um,
there's no cost for the count for.
If it's a city-sponsored event, there wouldn't be a cost, but that has to be planned ahead of time, and then city staff would be putting out cones and little blockade things.
It's like they
That's what I
were
was-
telling the Canifest people that they needed
Yeah.
to do, right?
That's,
Yeah.
that's what I was kinda thinking, having it here with the touch truck there,
Right.
where it's off-road would be the easiest.
Well, didn't you say that one of the dates, you might do a smaller one in conjunction with the thing that's happening at the park, so that it's not competing with the thing that's at the park?
If we were doing it that second Saturday, they would have a baseball tournament, and then they use this road for parking. And
Uh-huh.
So you have to pull it all the way over the Grange.
Or, I mean, I don't know how big that tournament is. Is it huge? I mean, like, is everything down here all filled up?
Yes, Molly went to it last year, and she said it was pretty big, and they wanted to expand.
Hmm.
But she said that she thought the parking would be an issue if we tried to take over this road, this tournament right there.
And what if we didn't try to take over that road? What if we just had the parking lot and we had touch a truck along the museum grassy strip? I mean, that way you might get better participation in your festival or your fair if you have,
I expect that would be
traffic.
nice to-
Yeah, but you don't necessarily have to use South Railroad.
I didn't think about using, that's another option. We need more brains on this. Okay,
Alrighty.
we'll figure that out.
Alright, so we got work plan, safety fair, anything else?
No.
Specific? Okay. Let's go home.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I
I'm
second.
motion- You second it? All in favor?
I,
Okay, let's go. All right, now,
sitting out in the audience,
It's
I
better
than
always
with a
wanna
face.
say aye.